Hey guys, welcome back to Resistance Chicks. We're your hosts, Leah and Michelle. Today is November 9th,
Michelle,
2018. I had to think like 1983. It's not
Michelle
1983.
Saying that.
Yeah. So we have so much news to bring you. We were just live on Tuesday for the election coverage. Yeah. So much has happened between then and now. For some reason, the Democrats keep finding votes. It's like they're sitting on the couch and like, oh, there's some more votes. They're in their car behind the seat. Oh, here's some more votes. I'm at work pulling out my desk drawer. Oh, found some more votes. And do you know what? The interesting thing about that is, Leah, they're all Democrat votes.
Pretty much.
That is so convenient. I'm sure it's just pure coincidence.
So where we're really going to zero in on today is the extra votes that keep tallying up in Broward and Palm Beach counties in southern Florida.
Did you say Broward County
and Hanging Chads?
Do we know anything about? Do you know any Chads? They're all in Broward County, and they're all dangling.
Okay, but first off, while you guys are coming in, there are some devastating wildfires in California. Claimed 5 lives already.
Oh my gosh.
Raging wildfires across California have forced 157,000 people from their homes and have led to at least 5 deaths in the north of the state.
Wow.
And the blaze is also approaching the LA Zoo. Fanned by overnight winds, multiple fires have ripped through the state of California in recent days. In Northern California, a blaze visible by satellite consumed the town of Paradise on Thursday and had burned nearly 110 square miles by Friday morning.
Wow.
It's absolutely devastating. Houses look at that fire. It's like a fire tornado. I mean, this is just absolutely devastating. So, I wish I could send some rain to them because we have way too much rain.
Yeah.
The Butte County Sheriff's Office told the AP that 5 people have been found burned to death in their cars in the Paradise area. And
in their cars?
Yeah. The blaze sent residents fleeing. Currently threatens the town of Chico, a home of 90,000 people. Parts of the city have been evacuated as firefighters struggle to contain the inferno in the city limits. 100 California National Guard troops have been sent to Northern California to help residents evacuate and to map the scope of the fire's damage. Hundreds of miles south, authorities in Los Angeles and Ventura counties have ordered the evacuation of 75,000 homes as wildfire bears down on the beach town of Malibu. So conditions in Oak Park, just north of Malibu, have been described as surreal. We have friends in this area. We actually stayed in Ventura. This hits a little bit closer to home.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Oh my.
Oh my. Sydney, you okay, bud? All right. Oh, Michelle's gonna have to redo our.
Hang on. When we came home and we were like, you're like, I've got the dogs.
Yeah, they're okay. Why?
They're great, but Jasper doesn't have a diaper on.
Okay.
And no. You do the news. I will get the. I'm just saying, Jasper's. There she is, and there's a poo poo.
Oh, Benny.
It's okay.
All right. Yeah. So it's pretty intense. So I kind of wanted to just go through some of these. There's some videos that I've got on. See if I can bring them up. The town of Paradise was just overrun. This doesn't have any volume. You can just see the fires sweeping. No, this particular video does not have any volume. So if you're just joining us, wildfires are raging across the northern parts of California, and they're kind of headed down south, and they're Malibu, the town of Malibu, the beachside town of Malibu is being evacuated. Ventura County is under evacuation here. Let's see. And this is a nightmare scenario where you've got fire on either side of you because the people that did die were burned in their cars. And this is just how they pick up so
guess what?
quickly.
Yeah.
We're not going to catch on fire, okay? We're going to stay away from it. and we'll be just fine. Okay?
It's on both
We're
sides. When
doing
the fire's on both
all right.
sides, how do you calmly drive?
It's right there.
Baby, it'll be alright.
Listen to this dad singing to his kids.
Yeah. Wow.
And here's the thing that the smoke.
How do you breathe? How do you
You know what
breathe?
happens when you pass like a truck that has really bad exhaust or a school bus or something?
Yeah.
Nope. We don't need to say that word, huh? Yeah.
Is it time to say that word?
Oh my gosh. This is so awful.
So, yeah.
I'm curious.
it's
Do we
pretty
know when these
devastating.
fires kind of started? Not how, just when it got out of control. Because we had fires in California early this year.
Mm-hmm.
It seems like California, all of the rain apparently is hitting Ohio. They're not.
Yeah, that's not storm clouds.
That
that's
is smoke.
That's time to go. That's
Yeah.
time to go. It's time to get out of there. So the town of Paradise is kind of been like wiped away from what I understand.
Heavenly Father, please help us.
See, that's fire going across the street
Help us
there.
Be safe.
Um,
I'm thankful for Jeremy and his willingness to be brave.
no. This is horrible. This is like awful. And the smoke.
People were really panicking, trying
I
to
would
get
be
out.
panicking.
Yeah. From what I
Oh
understand,
my
the town of Paradise doesn't have a lot of major roads to it, so getting out.
Praise God. See, thank you. At
Oh.
the end of the video,
Oh.
Now, let's think about that for 1 second. When she was just driving through that, raise your hand if you thought it was nighttime.
Yeah. And then
That's how like scary. I mean, we're talking. It looks like nighttime,
wow. And then
and then she just drives,
and then-
and then oh my gosh, praise you, Jesus.
the feeling that you feel when you see that.
Hey, guess what?
Is that the one we
Gonna
watched?
get us, yeah. You just see
Oh
the
my
billowing.
goodness.
Look at that. That's huge.
Wow.
So our hearts and prayers go out to the people who are stuck or were stuck, and we showed you that video. So here's where you can
Dang.
kind of see where they're
Wow.
elevated, critical, and extreme there.
Wow.
Yeah.
Can I talk about the elephant in the room?
The elephant?
Well, it's California.
Well, no, don't talk about the elephant
Okay.
in the room.
Y'all can just take that for what you want. How about that? And then I don't have to say it.
Jeez. Not a good idea.
What did he just do?
He's photo reporting, and then there's a little bomb that goes off.
Wow. Or like a fire. Hey, how about no?
You know what? How about no?
Yeah. I think sometimes these reporters feel invincible. Must use caution.
Yeah, don't worry about it. We'll be down there.
Packing up, she just took it, she said, before her house burned down. This is Paradise, California.
Oh my goodness. And then the fireplace is left standing.
Fireplace left standing.
Wow, wow, wow. It's like a movie. A really bad movie. Oh, that is a movie.
That is a movie, sorry. That's what it looked like.
And that
sorry.
is, yeah, it is kind of like that. Oh my gosh.
I was going to say, who abandoned their cars?
Yeah. I was wondering the exact same
So I want to show you I saw a video from someone who drove through Paradise afterwards.
So have the fires stopped?
No, they're going down.
Okay.
There's more people.
Okay. Oh my God, embers are going in the car. Oh my God.
Oh my God.
Like,
Ow.
we can't hardly breathe.
The cat.
It's so bad. I mean, we are. Taylor, get that over there. Get that over there. We have got to get out of here. We're like where you see those pictures. There's people's houses are burning down. Yeah, we're still moving, and the fire engines are coming down.
This is terrifying. Do you realize that cars operate on gasoline?
So what were you calling me about? Just where we were?
There's
There are
power
embers burning
lines
under
catching
my
on
car.
Fire. They could drop in the middle of the road.
Taylor's video.
And if you've ever driven in California, it's
Okay.
gridlock anyways.
Were you able to get a hold of Randy? I texted. I gotta get to the side so the fire engines can get through. We're having a hard time letting the engines through. Here comes the engine.
You know, I think when we live in our little bubbles and nothing really significant happens to us, we don't.
This is bipartisan, by the way.
We don't really think about what's happening to people all over the world, the
Yeah.
tragedies, the hardships, the things that they are going through.
Right.
And I think that this is a really good time for everybody to stop
Wow.
and go, you know what? My town didn't catch on fire today. I had a pretty good day.
This is his brother. Says, my brother-in-law was
Look at
one
that.
of the
Look at
lucky
that.
ones driving out of his home in Paradise Fire. Heavy gratitude to the driver behind him who put it out. His car was on fire.
Oh my gosh.
Fire.
Wow.
Satellite imagery shows the city of Paradise, California on fire. Red boxes are the burned areas. So that's like all the burned areas. This is just terrifying. Oh, this is somebody's grandma.
Oh.
So she's looking for her grandma. She doesn't know if she's been evacuated or not. This is another car.
Whatever. No. They decided to do what I would have done. I'm thinking like off-roading it, like not getting stuck. Oh my gosh. Hi, Jasper. Whatever. Oh my gosh. I hope that's a Land Rover. Are y'all watching what we're watching right now?
If they can. It's hard to tell what's going on.
I
Put
don't
his
know,
phone
but
up.
his camera's facing up. Probably in his dash or something. Keep moving. Why are you stopped?
Please don't. Please let us know you got out.
Well, the video uploaded.
Oh, man.
I got 3 words for y'all. 4-wheel drive. Don't get stuck without it.
Oh my gosh.
Mm-mm.
Oh, my gosh.
Ah, it looks like hell. Like, literally.
Yeah, it does, doesn't it? It really does. It really does. It's, yeah, so let's keep them in our prayers tonight. And,
Things can
There's
be
still-
replaced. People can't.
exactly, there's still a lot of people who
Missing.
need to. This is campfire damage this morning in Paradise, California. The town is destroyed. So this is not the movie. This is the real deal. Oh wow, the windmill there going. Wow. Firefighters. Wow, just the tree's still on fire here.
Oh my gosh, it's crazy.
Just burned out. The whole town seems to be burned out like a bad ghost town. So many people affected by this right now.
Yeah.
Firefighters respond to the dispatch.
Turbo gas vegetation under the high tension power lines across from Po Dam.
So I wanted to see if I could find, there was a reporter who reported.
Okay, Ashton. I'm evacuating, motherfucker.
Okay.
With your swear words there. Let's see.
And she joins us now
Here we
live in
go.
Chico, where it looks like the flames, Jen. The flames, Jen, are getting closer.
Tony and Adrian, absolutely devastating. The flames that you see here on the side of the road is nothing compared to what we saw today. The entire town of Paradise is gone. Now here in Chico, being threatened.
Minutes. Everything was ignited. By the time I got out of my house, it was like everything was on fire.
Forrest Woodcock grabbed his dogs and sped off with his mom, sister, and only the clothes on their backs, holding their breath.
It didn't feel real to me. Like, I honestly thought I wasn't going to make it out of there.
As hundreds began fleeing, they watched as their entire town burned to the ground.
Paradise High School was on fire. The gas stations all around were on fire.
The winds are absolutely relentless. This fire is destroying everything in its path, including this elementary school. Fire has been all around us all day, down power lines, an extremely dangerous situation for firefighters. Those buildings still standing in the heart of Paradise at 3 in the afternoon were torched by 5 as winds continue to devour everything, including the Safeway, hundreds of homes, even a church, and nearly every school in town. Firefighters from around the state trying their best to protect the community from the furious flames with no mercy in sight. While Forrest made it out, others didn't make it.
The hardest thing about this all is the people that may not have had the benefit that I had to get out when I got out. I started crying because that was like, you know, that was really hard for me.
Unimaginably hard for hundreds who've literally lost it all.
Like all my
20,000 acres,
and all the memories that
zero
I have in the town,
containment,
everything that I've ever had in my
15,000
life is burned to the
structures
ground.
threatened.
Everything is gone.
Your
we'll have another
childhood home.
Press cancel there.
Um,
So we do need to move on.
Yeah.
But that is horrific. We will be praying for them. Some of you in the chat have already stated what my thinking was. However, Chris Holman says that his guts is that it was intentionally set. You know what?
Well, California has been under a severe drought, and I think that actually what I'm going to say
We could talk
is
DARPA.
mostly weather modification.
Right.
China is well known to be modifying weather. It may not be U.S. scientists causing these kind of, if we're having way too much rain and
Right.
they're not having enough rain.
Right.
When they try to cloud seed, then it doesn't work. And I kind of felt like they did that for South Korea for
The Olympics.
the Olympics, because it was extremely cold there and they wanted to, cold weather. So when you start, this is like the movies where they mess with weather.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that a lot of it has to do with messing with weather. But also remember that you've got a lot of people now in a
Right.
state that is and has always been traditionally, historically dry. Very dry state.
Mm-hmm.
Deserts, you have to
Yeah.
drive through one even to get
To California.
to California, so at least to Southern California. And we have driven through that.
Mm-hmm.
And so when you have so many people, it's bound to happen. It's,
Yeah.
humanity versus nature. And the same thing with buildings along the coast. And
Right.
then you have this huge damage with hurricanes.
Yeah.
So you're going to have fires. You're always going to have fires. People can be setting fires with millions of people in dry conditions. People flooded to move to California, and it's not the most hospitable environment that we have in this country.
Right. So
Move to the Midwest, move to Ohio. We have 4 seasons. We have enough rain that we may not even have to water our garden. It's not too hot. It's not too cold. Ohio's the best.
So Candily on Facebook had sent me a message, and there is a short video, but I can't pull that up without pulling up my entire messenger. But I can pull up the 2 pictures that that she sent me. There's this one, and she says that air quality is really bad. She's in Fairfield, California, and she says air quality is the worst. So thank you for that, Candalee, because it's good to have somebody that's even in California to showcase what's happening there. I want you guys to definitely say a prayer tonight for all the families affected, because I can't even imagine, like that young man was saying, your childhood memories just gone. You know, sorry, Jasper messed up that camera, and I'm going to take a minute to fix it while you move
go
on.
ahead. All right. Okay, so Jeff Sessions has been fired. I could have put that in the title. And in his place is a guy who has said that Mueller has gone too far in the past. His name is Whitaker, I believe, if I get this right.
Bodybuilder, massive tank guy. My mom said that she felt like it was because Jeff Sessions was too weak. They still didn't get that camera right. That's why Trump went with somebody that had more of a presence. I don't know if you agree with that, Leah.
Yeah, so this guy is awesome, and we are going to get to the Broward County, which is what I have most of my news on.
We're going to get to all the news. There we go.
Yeah, we're going to get to all the news.
It's our weekly roundup. It's Friday. It's 6 o'clock, and we are here, and you are here, and so many of you have wished me a happy birthday.
Thank you.
In the chat. I want to say thank you. Thank you very much for that.
So I wanted to bring up what I had. I have to go backwards to find the guy who went ahead and took his spot, but I've been tweeting so much out about Florida that I can't find out.
I gotta
Jeff
tell you
Sessions
guys,
is like old news.
Oh my
Jeff
gosh.
Sessions was fired.
All right,
on
so while
Wednesday.
you're looking for that, let me give you guys my opinion. Jeff Sessions was fired almost like the very next day. It was the next day.
Well, technically he resigned because there's some legalities with that. I guess the acting attorney general, Trump can put him in place if there's a resignation, but not if there's a firing. So.
Okay, well, whatever. Jeff Sessions is gone the day after the midterms.
Yeah.
My gut on that says this. Trump's been trying to get rid of Sessions for a long time, been wanting to get rid of Sessions for a long time, and so many of you have been saying, Trump, why haven't you gotten rid of Sessions? Well, Trump's doing a lot of things in office right now, and you have to understand that the smallest, it's actually not a small move, but even the smallest of a move before midterms can upset everything. And I believe that Trump waited so that it wouldn't affect the midterms negatively. In addition to that, I believe that the reason why he did it immediately after the midterms is twofold. One, to show his people, you and I, who support him, who are speaking our voices to him, that he is listening and he is still doing the things that he has promised that he was going to do. And two, to send a message to the deep state. You're not going to get to me. You're not going to stop my people anymore. If you've got something on Jeff Sessions, who was one of my biggest supporters, the only reason Jeff Sessions was silent and not doing anything is because they had something on him. Okay, they had to have. I'm going to put somebody in place. You can't stop me. So he sent 2 messages, one to us and one to his opponents.
So I want you guys to know about Matthew Whitaker. He was, I think, a tight end for Iowa State. He's a big guy, has a presence of personage. He has said that in the past, in an interview with Breitbart, that Hillary Clinton's Clinton Foundation is the main thing that should be investigated.
I love it.
If we think that the emails were bad enough, that the Clinton Foundation itself really needs to be investigated.
Awesome.
And the mainstream media, of course, is saying, oh, he's got conflicts of interest. He needs to recuse himself from the Mueller probe, because what it does, it puts him in charge of Rosenstein.
I want to tell you guys something. Trump is going to put somebody in charge as Attorney General that is not going to have to recuse himself from the biggest investigations. Okay, the whole point of having an Attorney General is so that they can take charge in these instances.
Exactly. So
No more recusing yourself.
That's what I.
This is your job. You do your job.
That's what I've said. So the left is going crazy. Literally on Times Square last night, like thousands of people were like, protect Mueller's probe, blah, 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 blah. They're all afraid now this guy's in charge.
Of course they should be.
But here's the thing. He's not a weird appointment. He is the guy underneath of Jeff Sessions. So he
totally makes sense.
Makes sense. Okay, so Matthew Whitaker is a well-credentialed and an excellent choice. This is from Andrew McCarthy from the National Review, who is usually never Trumpers, but they've actually, their whole editorial board has kind of jumped on the Trump band, which is hilarious to me. And they did so right before this election. And an excellent choice to assume the duties of Attorney General. Is Matthew Whitaker a placeholder who can manage special counsel Robert Mueller until President Trump decides on a permanent successor for ousted Attorney General Jeff Sessions? It's possible, but it's also conceivable that Mr. Whitaker's temporary gig as acting Attorney General is an audition for the job. Feeling like he's been burned once and then saddled for the better part of 2 years with an AG he can no longer abide, the president may want a trial run before he settles on a permanent replacement. I use scare quotes because what these days is permanent. Now, one of Trump's main attorneys, who I love, who I actually wanted to grow up and work for, Jay Sekulow.
Yeah.
When I was a teenager, I was going to go to college, I was going to be a lawyer, and I was going to work with Jay Sekulow for Christian rights. That's what I was going to do, and then I went to Bible college anyways to be instead to be an evangelist. But that was my goal in life. But anyways, Jay Sekulow said he's got 251 days, and he can extend that for another 251 days. So basically, he can be in there for well over a year. He doesn't need to rush a permanent Attorney General, which actually has to go through a confirmation process. And this guy just sits there with all the power of an Attorney General, not having to be confirmed.
Sweet.
Yeah. So to repeat what I had on occasion, back to the article, to say about a week ago, I am a Sessions fan, and I think we all are.
Yeah.
We would love to see him back as a senator in Alabama. I don't think that's going to happen, but if I had my choice, if like we're playing games, I would just say, board in that place that was supposed to be won by Roy Moore and is now held by a Democrat because Democrats flooded. I mean, the Democrats, as Mike Cernovich says, you have to hand it to the Democrats. They play to win. They are like the Pittsburgh Steelers. They will take your knees out. They are they're the Kubla Kai. Okay, but we don't have enough Karate Kids.
Right.
We're gonna get to a Jim Acosta Karate Kid in a minute, but we don't have enough Karate Kids to fight these Kubla Kai who will just literally take out the knee.
They cheat.
They cheat. They lie. They cheat. They steal.
Right.
And we need to be, in order to not lie, cheat, and steal and win against these people, you've got to be incredibly right, incredibly righteous, and unafraid.
Yep.
And I think we're growing some backbones, and it's feeling good to some of these people like Senator Lindsey Graham, right?
Yes.
But they are having to grow a backbone really quickly. And we, the people, have been that temporary backbone for these representatives to get a few of them to stand up, feel like they're not alone. They can say the things. Mm-hmm. Sometimes you just need to see who's behind you in order for you to step forward and say what you want to say. Lindsey Graham stepped in front, not because he felt righteously indignated inside, differently than maybe he has in the past, but he felt the force behind him. And I, use the force, Luke. Okay, so I'm a Sessions fan. I think he got a raw deal. That said, it was time for Trump and Sessions to part ways. The former AG should be proud that he performed admirably and was very effective proponent of the president's agenda. Everything else on Trump's ice when it came to immigration, he was cracking things down. He was doing a great job.
Right.
But because he recused himself from anything connected to Clinton or Russia, it was like free reign for the rats to come out. Totally disgusting. He should have been on Page. He should have been on the FISA. He should have been on everything. I continue to believe his recusal from the so-called Russia investigation was premature and overboard, but there is no doubt that a recusal of some extent would have been necessary. The president is kidding himself if he thinks otherwise, and it was not Sessions but Deputy General Rod Rosenstein, a Trump appointee, who decided to name a special counsel. That is all water under the bridge at this point. Matthew Whitaker joined the Trump Justice Department as Sessions' chief of staff last October. The date is relevant. The president has named him as acting attorney general under the Vacancies Reform Act of 1998. There has been some commentary suggesting that because Whitaker was in a job, chief of staff, that did not require Senate confirmation, he could not become the acting officer in a position, the AG, that calls for Senate confirmation. Not so. The Vacancies Act enables the president to name an acting officer. Otherwise, if you just have confirmed people, you're going to run out of places, right? You're going to people that have been confirmed. The Vacancies Act enables the president to name an acting officer who may serve for as many as 210 days, so as long as the person named has been working at the agency or department for at least 90 days in a fairly high-ranking position. Whitaker qualifies. Whitaker has excellent credentials and influential backers. He served as Attorney General John Ashcroft's chief of staff until 2004, when President Bush appointed him United States Attorney for the Southern District of Iowa. To get the latter post, Whitaker certainly had to have the approval of Senator Chuck Grassley from Iowa, who even was a senior member of the Judiciary Committee, which he now chairs. According to the New York Times profile of Whitaker, he was recommended to President Trump by the estimable Leonard Leo, the Federalist Society chief, who has been critical to the president's judicial appointments, perhaps the administration's signal achievement. Whitaker is said to have a very good chemistry with the president and to have been an effective liaison between the Justice Department and the White House. I must say I am amused by the media pearl clutching over the fact that Whitaker will presumably be assuming supervisory responsibility over the Mueller investigation. Basically, the media doesn't want anyone over Mueller.
Right.
Nobody. They'd probably be happy if you brought in Loretta Lynch or somebody from a Democrat side.
Right. They'd be fine.
But they literally want Mueller to be God, to do exactly anything that he wants. But that's not how our government works. You don't get to do whatever you want, whenever you want, because they're investigating the highest office of the president, saying he doesn't get to do whatever he wants to do, but then this guy somehow is perfectly capable and amazing and incorruptible with 7 angry Democrats on his team who hate Trump. Are you seriously joking me right now? It's absolutely insane. So since Mueller came into the picture, the responsibility has been exercised quite passively by Rod Rosenstein, who basically said, here is my checkbook. Here's the Judicial Department checkbook. You have no limit. Sign your name on any checks. Do whatever you want. I will sign off on everything. That's what Rod Rosenstein gave Mueller. He appointed Mueller on May 17, 2017, to take the reins of the Rust investigation that had been ongoing for several months. As this person has detailed, Rosenstein has been laboring under blatant conflicts of interest. That's true because he was the one who helped write the memo that Trump presented to fire Comey. And then Rosenstein appointed Mueller to investigate Trump for firing Comey that he suggested be fired. If that's not a conflict of interest, I don't know what is. He should have recused himself. To summarize, the special counsel has been scrutinizing the president's firing of FBI Director Comey in the obstruction aspect of his investigation. Rosenstein was a prominent participant in the firing and is thus an important witness. Rosenstein, moreover, signed off on the last FISA warrant application for surveillance against former Trump campaign advisor Carter Page. He needs to be investigated because that FISA is being investigated as possibly corrupt and connected to a whole string of...
I want to go back to, really quickly, Trump's press conference, which if you guys didn't have a chance to watch it, go back and watch it. Where he says, he's asked by a reporter if, essentially, Trump, if he's threatening the House, if they go to investigate him, will he then investigate them? Mm-hmm. And you know what he says? He says, he says, I know more than they do. He's totally fine with it. He takes that question head on. He's like, yeah, that's what's going to happen. You know why? Because I know more than they do. Trump was one of the first people to come out questioning, or not even just questioning. He knows what happened at 9/11. He knows 9/11 was an inside job. He knows right here who is responsible. And so Trump is pretty much telling them, if you want to play hardball, I know more about the corruption than you guys do, and I will pull your corruption out. And he was very forceful and very firm when he said that, and he made a point, and I hope that it makes these people afraid. So when you have Rod Rosenstein, when you have these people bristling under a Whitaker overseeing Mueller, they're not doing it because they are thinking to themselves, we need these certain branches of government, or they're not even branches of government, but whatever, to be able to operate without somebody, kind of just telling them what they can and cannot do. They need to be able to move freely. That's not at all why they don't want the Attorney General's office over them. They don't want the Attorney General's office, and they don't want Whitaker overseeing this because they know that they have stuff to hide. And it's just like with those counts down in Florida. They're hiding in the back room, slipping out all the Republican votes, that, you know, saving out these Democrat votes. They are doing things so underhanded, and they know that they're going to get caught. And so I think Whitaker's great. I'm excited about it.
Whitaker has penned many articles defending President Trump, calling out President Mueller's reach is way too far.
Yeah.
So we're going to get now to Karate Jim McCaw stuff. Trump, if you guys didn't see his press conference, it was amazing. It was intriguing. I absolutely loved watching it. He was very positive. However, we do have two Senate seats that are now in play again because of shenanigans going on within the Democratic Party. And in those voting polls, one with Martha McSally, she's a weird, crazy woman in Arizona. And then after Governor Scott won the Senate seat, now Broward County is coming up with more and more votes.
Pulling these votes out of their back pockets,
exactly,
out of their refrigerator.
Exactly, for Nielsen. So we're going to get to that corruption. But as we're doing our weekly roundup, we want to kind of go in order. And before I give you Trump's statements this morning, I need to show you this clip. If you haven't watched his press conference, this is one of the best press conferences I've seen Trump do. It was so amazing, the entire thing.
You know, I've been waiting for somebody to be able to say I've been accosted by Acosta. I've just really been waiting for that.
So, actually, I don't want to use that time. I want to find the whole thing. That press conference was from the 7th. I want to bring it because they have revoked Jim Acosta's press credentials because he karate chopped a woman.
Right.
And in addition, InfoWars' Paul Joseph Watson slowed it down and zoomed in so you could see it. Then the whole world said that he doctored it. And Trump tweeted it out, Paul Joseph Watson. So then today, Trump defended it and said, no, you are lying. It was not doctored.
I love it.
So then Paul Joseph Watson tweets out, look, the Trump is defending me. I love the world we live in right now. We all, see, here's the thing. That Trump makes us all like one step removed from him.
Right.
You know what I mean? One step removed from him. So this was a fantastic press conference. We're going to get to him.
You don't want to just pull up PJW's video?
We are, he had some other good questions, so.
And I'm, I am extraordinarily happy. I really am. And by the way, I'd tell you if I wasn't.
Let's see. If that was one reporter. That woman put she was.
The racist thing? That was good.
Thing.
That's worth showing.
Should we keep this going for a little while?
Yes. Yes, I think you should keep this going.
When you get bored, would you please tell me? Seriously. Tell me. You're never bored. I don't want to, hopefully not. I don't want to overstay, but yes, please go ahead.
Hi, Mr. President. Yemi Shelcender with PBS NewsHour. On the campaign trail, you called yourself a nationalist. Some people saw that as emboldening white nationalists. Now people are also saying
that the president. It's such a racist question.
There are some people that say that now the Republican Party is seen as supporting white nationalists because of your rhetoric. What do you make of that?
I don't believe it. I don't know. Why do I have my highest poll numbers ever with African Americans? Why do I have among the highest poll numbers with African Americans? I mean, why do I have my highest poll numbers? That's such a racist question. Honestly, I mean, I know you have it written down and you're going to tell me. Let me tell you, it's a racist question.
And Mr. President,
you know what the word is? I love our country. I do. You have nationalists, you have globalists. I also love the world. And I don't mind helping the world, but we have to straighten out our country first. We have a lot of problems.
And
excuse me, but to say that, what you said is so insulting to me. It's a very terrible thing that you said.
And Mr. President, people have you talked about middle class tax cuts on the campaign trail. How will you get Democrats to support that policy?
You have to ask them.
Well, hey, what's your plan for working with Democrats on the middle class tax plan?
You know what my plan is? I'll ask them. And if they say yes, I'm all for it. And if they say no, there's nothing you can do because you need their votes. Go ahead.
Yes, thank you, Mr. President. Francesca Chambers, DailyMail.com. You said many times on the campaign trail that you didn't want Nancy Pelosi to be Speaker. At least you suggested that. You spent a lot of time talking about her and Chuck
Not a question
Schumer.
of want. I would have. So here's let me answer. Would I have preferred winning by 2 or 3 or 4? I would almost have to think about that. But certainly, I like to win. And if I win, she's not going to be Speaker.
What did she say to you, though, yesterday that made
We had a
you
great
give her support?
Honestly, we had a very warm conversation. You know, she loves this country. And she's a very smart woman. She's done a very good job. She was really, I mean, she's had a very...
Did she promise that they wouldn't seek to impeach you?
She's had a very, very good... We didn't talk about impeaching. We didn't talk... What do? Do you impeach somebody because he created the greatest economic success in the history of our country? Let's impeach him because the country is so successful. Let's impeach him. Has he done anything wrong? They asked somebody, has he done anything wrong? No, but let's impeach him anyway. And they also said, let's impeach Justice Kavanaugh. Let's impeach him. And now they have the second woman coming out. That the first, the second.
I love that he talks about this stuff so openly.
And after him, we're going to impeach the vice president. We're going to impeach Mike Pence. Mike Pence doesn't get impeached for anything. So let's impeach the president, and then we'll impeach the vice president. These people are sick, and you know what? They have to get their bearing. Really, they have to get their bearing. And when you ask about division, they're the ones that cause the division. They cause tremendous division.
Regarding all the retirements in the House, Mr. President, very quickly, you suggested
Who was retiring?
You said that many of the retirements that happened in the House made it very difficult.
Many retirements, yeah.
That made it very difficult for you in this election cycle, and that it was because they were chairmanships that were vacated. But Jeff Flake wasn't a chairman of a committee, and Paul Ryan also retired the cycle. So why do you think that is? Whose fault is it that there were so many retirements?
In Jeff Flake's case, it's me, pure and simple. I retired him. I'm very proud of it. I did the country a great service. Go ahead. Give him that. He is retired. I'd like to call it another word, but we're going to treat him with great respect. Go ahead.
Pause the show. Pause it right there. Does anybody...
I told you this was the most epic
you
press conference I've ever seen.
You can't get this kind of stuff anywhere. Nobody's president sounds like Trump. No president in our history has ever sounded like Trump. He just said, in Jeff Flake's sake, it's me. It's all on me, and I'm very proud of it. And I'd like to call it something else, but we'll call it retired because I want to treat him with respect.
The greatest of respect. So, all right.
Oh
I know that we left you guys a little bit bummed.
No, you didn't even get to the Acosta thing, man.
I will.
Okay.
I want to, but what he's just talked about here
right.
on Tuesday. And it still is, I had to take a time to understand what's going on.
Yeah.
Because what Trump said was so true. He said, if we had just won by like 1 or 2 votes and all these never Trumpers were still in there, we would have 2 more years of getting nothing done. Nothing. Because I think it was over 54 never Trumpers or anti-Trumpers resigned. So basically, as Patriot Galley wanted me to explain to you guys, what happened? What happens is this. The Democrats are cheaters. They're liars. Paul Ryan is married to this Democrat operative. He is a Democrat. He pretends to be pro-life. He knows how to say all the right words. There are people, guys, whether you know it or not, that play people. They go home at night and they laugh at you. Yeah. All right? They know what you want to hear. They tell you what you want to hear. And those people ran for office
yes, they did.
As a Republican. And they could not stomach working with President Trump. Anybody who can work with President Trump, you will know that they really are a true conservative.
Exactly.
Because they put aside their bitterness and their anger and their upsetness to work with him.
Right.
On issues.
Yeah.
The other ones are either in it for themselves or they're Democrats. And those are the ones who retired. Now, there are some Republicans who didn't work with Trump who ran again and they lost. I would say, you can have some principled feelings that you feel about Trump's the way he handles things.
Sure.
But when it came down to it, they would have voted for the pro-life bills. They would have voted for, conservative spending bills. They would have voted right. But to vote against Trump and vote with Democrats, that shows that there really are Democrats on the inside.
Yeah.
So what we're going to have in the next 2 years is we're going to have
a solid
enemy
party.
Well, we're going to have an enemy building, okay? An enemy who gets to take their mask off, who literally doesn't have any power because the House cannot pass any bills,
right.
Even if the House had 2/3 of majority, and even if they, quote, impeach Trump, there's nothing they can do about it because we talked about before, President Clinton was impeached by the House and not by the Senate, and he continued to be president.
Exactly.
What's going to happen is the best gift, and the Democrats know this, is for the Democrats to take control of the House. And the more majority that they have, which it looks like they're going to have more of a majority, the worse it is for them. Because they're going to be hit with the landslide. They're going to say, why didn't you do this? Why didn't you do that? Why didn't you get this done? Why? And Trump is going to say, I tried to get this done, but the Democrats stopped me.
Right.
Because for Trump to go another 2 years and say, like he did the first 2 years, I tried to get this done with the Republican House.
Repealed and replaced.
I tried to get this done with Republicans, but the Republicans wouldn't do it. That's why the Republicans are out. Whoever doesn't get the stuff done, they get voted out the next time.
Right.
So Trump, in this speech, said, I'm going to work with Nancy Pelosi. We'll try to get some stuff done on infrastructure or some budgets or something like that. And he's going to play. He said, I'm a business person. He believes that he's even better at negotiating than they are. And he'll sit down and he'll work with them and he'll say, hey, Republicans, you need to vote on this too. And he'll try to be bipartisan. That's who this guy is. Democrats don't understand that Trump is actually, in a lot of ways, a more liberal than he is conservative. He has conservative views on maybe the wall, conservative views on immigration. He has become pro-life. But other than that, when it comes to fiscal spending, he believes in a budget, right? But not in an extreme budget. He wants infrastructure spending. He wants a lot more spending than what conservatives traditionally would want. Right. And the Democrats, if they actually wanted to pass things, the fact that Trump sat down with a Kanye West or a Kim Kardashian says, I will sit down with anybody. Yeah. I will work with anybody who wants to work with me on an issue that seems to be
There's a reason why Trump wrote the book, The Art of the Deal.
Right.
Because Trump, and you guys may not understand this kind of mindset because maybe you're not this kind of person. It's a pretty rare kind of person that can sit down
I'm not this person.
With a whole table of people from all walks of life and very hot opinions on many different topics. Right. And he can be the guy that comes together with a solution.
You have to have a center that is not easily swayed. Like, if I get offended by somebody or somebody offends somebody, then I have a hard time with that. Like, I don't think I can sit down with Macron and say, he's a great president, he's a great guy. But Trump can. Yeah. And then Trump can actually get Macron to want to be around him and want to be his friend. Even while he is talking badly about the EU or something like that, or NATO.
So Mom wanted, because Leah came to us on Wednesday, and she's like, listen, I know I was bummed last night, but I got to tell you, it's kind of like, I said this part, but this is what Leah was meaning. It's kind of like Gideon's army. What is it for God to save by many or by few? It is far better to have those seats, in my humble opinion, taken over by Democrats, where we had never Trumpers and we had people that were actually Democrats with a sheep's clothing of being a Republican. At least you know what you're dealing with. And so you have this honed in core of people, right? So this is actually far better than we thought is I think the point. So I want you guys to walk away with some hope, even if they take more seats, regardless of what happens in Arizona or in Florida or what have you. It doesn't really matter.
So I'm going to show you, this is the tweet. I'm going to show you the tweet that, you know what, we're just going to play Paul Joseph Watson here.
CNN's Jim Acosta put his hand...
This moment, I got to watch it live, by the way.
The White House staffer was trying to do her job and retrieve the microphone after Acosta had gone on yet another anti-Trump rant. Acosta then used his left arm to push down on the woman and physically restrain her. This resulted in him getting his press access revoked. And who's to blame for all this? Me! Of course it's me. Question for PressSec. Where do you obtain the distorted Acosta video you posted? InfoWars personality Prison Planet posted the same video 2 hours before you did. Surely you don't trust InfoWars. The White House is circulating a doctored InfoWars video. White House uses doctored video to justify stripping CNN reporter Jim Acosta's press credentials. Sarah Huckabee Sanders used doctored InfoWars footage to justify Acosta ban. White House shares doctored video to support punishment of journalist Jim Acosta. White House press secretary shares fake InfoWars video to justify banning CNN reporter, and this is all complete horseshit. Look at the comparison between the original video and the one I posted. It isn't doctored, it isn't sped up, it isn't slowed down. All I did was zoom in. Look at it again. Is this an example of someone doctoring a clip to change its meaning? No. It's virtually identical. Is it 100% identical? No. Video compression is going to result in it looking marginally different. But does it show Acosta putting his hands on a woman to restrain her as she tries to grab the microphone? Yes. Inventing a giant conspiracy theory isn't going to change that fact. As you can see from the original editing track in Sony Vegas Pro, none of the individual tracks are sped up. A track that is sped up would show wavy lines in the original track field, which it doesn't. Now I know how James O'Keefe feels every time he exposes the left. They accuse him of doctoring footage. No, doctoring means deliberate manipulation to change the meaning of the video. Zooming in isn't doctoring. Oh, but some frames might be missing. Wait, this is the same media that demonized Corey Lewandowski for assault based on a video which had just 6 frames. So I downloaded a GIF, exported it to an M2T file, converted it to an MP4, then re-uploaded it to Twitter. Is the compression going to look exactly the same? No, it's going to look marginally different. Does that mean the video was doctored? No, that's not doctoring. As this video analyst commented, any changes, if they did make them, would be incredibly minor and possibly due to working across frame rates and compressions. As Tim Pool tweeted, all of the outlets claiming the video was doctored or sped up didn't even bother fact-checking. Two different analyses showed it was likely just compression issues as to why it didn't sync. This is why people don't trust the media. They all ran the story due to gossip, not facts. I mean, when even BuzzFeed writers semi-come to my defense, you know the media's reaching. BuzzFeed, there's no evidence that the video was deliberately sped up. Thank you. Now will the hundreds of other media organisations that falsely claimed that issue retractions? Don't hold your breath. The original tweet circulating this fake news that I doctored the video combined have hundreds of thousands of retweets. The clarifications, the ones that
Okay, so that's the actual video that's causing a lot of controversy right now. But I want you to see the whole video if we can.
You could just go back to that other video and find the spot, right?
I can't find it.
Oh, okay.
That was my problem. I was like, what time frame? I was like looking through it this whole time. I was like, where is Jim Acosta?
Go ahead, behind. Thank you.
It was on Tucker.
Please.
I think he led with that. I think.
Very good friend. And whenever it is.
Okay, you found it?
Well, this is something
I'll tell you what, CNN should be ashamed of itself having you working for them. You are a rude...
Yeah, but that's after the fact. Wicked Psych says she reached her hand over his arm twice before going under when he pushed it away. They are showing the previous on media and saying, look, nothing happened.
Here we go.
Thank you, Mr. President. I challenge you on
loud enough.
One of the statements that you made in the tail end of the campaign. In the midterms. That
here we go.
That, well, if you don't mind, Mr. President, that this caravan was an invasion. As you know, Mr. President,
I consider it to be an invasion.
As you know, Mr. President,
Here's
caravan was not an
that's
invasion.
Come up in a minute.
It's a group of migrants moving up from Central America towards the border with the U.S.
Thank you for telling me.
And why did you characterize it as such?
Because I consider it an invasion. You and I have a difference of opinion.
But do you think that you demonized immigrants in
Not
this
at all.
election
No, not
to
at all.
try
I
to
want
keep
them. I want them to come into the country, but they have to come in legally. You know, they have to come in, Jim, through a process.
Look at him. Oh,
I want it to be
legally.
a process. And I want people to come in, and we need the people.
Your campaign.
Wait. You know why we need the people, don't you? Because we have hundreds of companies moving in. We need the people.
Your campaign had an ad showing migrants climbing over walls and so on.
True. They weren't actors.
They're not going to be doing
that.
They
weren't actors. Well, no, it's true. Do you think they were actors? They weren't actors. They didn't come from Hollywood. These were people. This was an actual. You know, it happened a few days ago, and
they're hundreds of miles away. Though they're hundreds and hundreds of miles away. That's not an invasion.
Honestly, I think you should let me run the country. You run CNN,
right.
And if you did it well, your ratings
would be
much better.
If I may ask one other question, Mr. President. If I may ask one other question, are you worried?
That's enough. That's enough.
Mr. President,
that's
enough. I was going to ask one of the other folks.
That's enough.
Pardon me, ma'am. Mr.
Excuse
President,
me. That's enough.
Mr. President, I had one other question. If I may
We're going to watch that again.
Mr. President,
That's
I was going to
enough.
ask one
All
of
right,
the other.
You run CNN,
So,
and if you
two
did
times
it well,
she tries to
your
go.
ratings
Let me
would be
ask,
much better.
if I may
Okay,
ask
that's
one other
enough.
question, Mr. President. If I may
Okay,
ask
Peter,
one
go
other
ahead.
question, are you worried?
That's
Nope.
enough. That's
Mr.
enough.
President, I
Nope.
was going to ask one of the other folks.
That's enough.
Pardon me, ma'am. Mr.
Excuse me.
President,
That's enough.
Mr. President, I had one other
Peter,
question,
let's
if
go.
I may ask, on the Russia investigation. Are you concerned?
You don't get to do that.
No.
The aide came in 3 times to grab the mic. Now, what I want you to do is, Michelle, I'm going to grab for your water bottle out of your hand. Then I want you to take your other hand
like this.
and
It's
kind of
like
karate
this.
chop me, okay?
I'm Jim Acosta, and I'm holding it like this, I think.
She grabs him with her
He's
right,
holding the mic in his right hand or his left hand?
his
Yeah,
right hand.
he's holding it in his right hand.
Right.
And so then you reach in.
And then
No.
karate chop me right here.
Well, first she
I need
reached
you to
over.
show.
And you reach over. First he did this.
Yeah.
He did that first, and then she went in again, and so he did that again. So then,
And
she
then-
goes under, and then he goes like this.
Now I want you to see what happened. Now I want you to see what happens when you go like that. When you go like this,
Nobody
no,
goes
you're not
down.
ready. You're not ready.
Okay, you want me to stand still?
No. Don't go
stalwart?
stalwart. You're
Am I-
actually not supposed to know it's coming. You're
Okay.
like not even
All
knowing
right.
that it's coming.
Okay.
Okay.
But you're the karate chopper now?
Yeah, I'm the karate chopper. No, you're holding too much. She holds too much. What happens is when you go like this, your arm goes like that. So I'm trying to show
okay,
you.
do it again.
No. Okay. No. Well, anyways, watch the girl's arm. I did it to myself a couple times. Her arm, it's a really sensitive part of your body. It's
Oh,
like
yeah.
when you knee jerk.
Yeah.
So I want you to know that when you do that, it's actually kind of painful. That's what I was trying
I
to show
may
you.
ask
Peter,
one
go
other
ahead.
question. Are you worried?
That's enough. That's
Mr.
enough.
President, I
That's
was going
enough.
to ask one of the other folks.
That's enough.
Pardon me, ma'am.
See, do you see how he
That's
pulls
enough.
her
Mr.
in?
President,
It's very violent, actually.
The other folks.
Right.
That's enough.
Pardon me, ma'am. Mr.
Excuse
President.
me. That's enough.
Mr. President, I had one other
Peter,
question,
let's
if
go.
I may ask, on the Russia investigation. Are you
Wow.
concerned
I'm going to
that,
finish this out.
that
because
you may
it's
have
I'm not concerned
indictments-
about anything with
You
the
may have
Russian
indictments coming down.
investigation because it's a hoax.
Are you-
That's enough. Put down the mic.
Mr. President, are you worried about indictments coming down in this investigation?
Finally, she got it.
Mr. President.
I'll tell you what, CNN should be ashamed of itself having you working for them. You are a rude, terrible person. You shouldn't be working for CNN. Go ahead.
I think that's unfair.
You're a very rude person. The way you treat Sarah Huckabee is horrible. And the way you treat other people are horrible. You shouldn't treat people that way. Go ahead. Go ahead, Peter, go ahead.
In Jim's defense, I've traveled with him and watched him. He's a diligent reporter who busts.
Well, I'm not a big fan of yours either, so
I understand.
to be honest.
So let me ask you a question, if I can. You repeatedly
You
said,
are the best.
Mr. President, you repeatedly over the course
Okay,
of
just sit down, please. Well, when you report fake news, when you report fake news, which
This isn't
CNN
how you
does
get-
a
okay,
lot,
you're a
you are
reporter.
the enemy
No,
of
don't
the
stop
people.
it. Let
Go
it
ahead.
go.
Mr. President, over the course of the last several days of the campaign, sir, at the end of the campaign, you repeatedly said that Americans need to fear Democrats. You said Democrats.
I wanted you guys to note, and Leah's not going to replay it, but because I've seen this video so many times. When President Trump walks to the side, like, I'm not going to move until somebody does something about this guy and takes his mic away, that aide, she is so quick. She gets up. She does. It's like she's down. I don't even know how she did it. She did it like some sort of, I think she works for I don't know, like special forces. She gets up so fast, boom, grabs the mic and goes away. Like, she got in there, like she could be a thief. Did you see how quick she did that? I mean, I was totally impressed. She did her job. I have to commend her. I mean, I don't know anything about this young lady, but I was really impressed how quickly she stayed down. And then when Trump walked away, she's like, I'm getting that mic. She stands up, she grabs the mic, she turns around. It was great.
So if I want to see, I was kind of hoping somebody might have cut up a few of these clips with Trump, but maybe not. He had some amazing things to say today. As he defended Paul Joseph Watson on the video. So I know I can find that one. And then we're going to go into the Broward County craziness. So that's like really what I want to cover today. But watching Trump here.
Kate says Acosta is not a journalist. He is a heckler.
Okay, so here is Trump on Acosta's a clip saying, people kept saying that Acosta's clip was doctored that he tweeted out.
Why do press secretaries share a doctor's video of him?
Why did you share a doctored video?
The taped video of Costa? What are you talking about? All that was, nobody manipulated it. Give me a break. See, that's just dishonest reporting. All that is a close-up. See, that's just That is just dishonest reporting. I watched that. I heard that last night. They made it close up. They showed it close up. And he was not nice to that young woman. I don't hold him for that because it wasn't overly, horrible. But all that was, when you say doctor, you're a dishonest guy because it wasn't doctored. They gave a close-up view. That's not doctoring.
And Paul Joseph Watson had tweeted out.
I want you guys to get a feel for Trump's tone right now. Okay? Because I'm going to tell you something. These votes that they keep finding in Florida and in Arizona, Trump knows that we lost a good amount of seats in the House due to election fraud. Okay? And I think what we're going to see moving forward is no more Mr. Nice Guy. You thought that Trump was no more Mr. Nice Guy before. I think you're going to see no more Mr. Nice Guy 2.0.
Mm-hmm. So President Trump, Michelle Obama says she'll never forgive Trump for the birther movement, but he fires back.
Oh, Michelle Obama said that? I haven't seen it. I guess she wrote a book. She got paid a lot of money to write a book. And they always insist that you come up with controversial. Well, I'll give you a little controversy back. I'll never forgive him for what he did to our United States military. By not funding it properly, it was depleted. Everything was old and tired. And I came in and I had to fix it. And I'm in the process of spending tremendous amounts of money. So I'll never forgive him for what he did to our military. I'll never forgive him for what he did in many other ways, which I'll talk to you about in the future.
What Michelle Obama said
what he did, she talked about safety. What he did to our military made this country very unsafe for you and you and you.
Man, he's a fun fire. How do you get a president like this? How do you get a president like this? The world looks at this. And like Michelle said, looks like Michelle Obama trashes conservatives who support Trump as wingnuts and kooks.
So that's going to be the new deplorables. Deplorables is a little bit better.
Yeah, wingnuts.
Yeah.
What's a wing? What is her definition of wingnut?
That's a very good question because I think that they come in pretty handy. I mean, if you're going to bolt something together and you have a wingnut, it makes it so that you can turn it by hand. I don't know. I don't know where she's getting that as a slander or a slur. Yeah, I mean, they're far more. Nuts. I mean, you have to have, if you're going to use a regular nut for a bolt, you've got to get a wrench out there. The wing nut, you can just use your hand and tighten it down.
All right, guys, are you ready? Oh, you're not ready for this. Let's see.
Jasper.
Broward County.
Broward County. Let's take a blast from the past. Go all the way back to those dangling chads when we were all sitting there on election night and days after, and they're still counting dangling chads, and it went on and on and on and on.
So the best I can do for you guys, I think, is to show you, go through the time lapse that I was tweeting out last night.
Once a corrupt county, always a corrupt county.
But
if they're willing to do election fraud the first time, they're going to do it again and again and again and again.
Yeah, so I think that the best thing to start off with is, well, probably Tucker Carlson had a mob around him.
Oh, are we going to talk about that? Them going to his house and threatening him, telling Tucker, we know where you live?
Yeah.
I mean, that's horrible.
Yeah. So, and
why
then
don't these people get arrested?
There's a shooting in California, guys. We'll have to cover that right before we go. But I guess Rick Scott is currently the governor of Florida. He ran against a incumbent Democrat, Nielsen, and he won by 50,000 votes.
And then they just so happened to find 50,000 votes.
Yeah. So I think what I want to do is go to Marco Rubio's thread that started the whole craziness. And then I'm going to play for you Governor Rick Scott's...
That's what you see, hashtag stop the steal. That's what's in our title here, guys. They literally put together an entire campaign, and they've gone over it lawfully to explain.
Now, I want to give you the good news before we, as I'm going through this.
My mom always likes to know the end of the movie before she watches it.
The judge in the case today. It's all this craziness I'm going to go over has gone before a judge this afternoon, and she has ruled against Brenda Sipes, against Broward County for the following points that I'm going to tell you they have done that are illegal. So it started with yesterday with Marco Rubio. Oh, wow, look at this. He's tweeting out, "Be still and know that I'm God. I'm exalted among the nations, exalted on the earth." He has a thread here that all this is just, Marco Rubio is just on point today. If I've called him bad names before, just forgive me, because he's doing a good job right now.
Right.
So I'm going to try to get it. Long but important thread on the elections in Florida. This is the first one. This is the first thing that kind of got everybody going yesterday morning at 10 o'clock. Are you ready? Long but important thread. He meant threat.
Well, this is one of 6.
He said threat. And thread. See, even he messes up. Bay County was hit by a Category 4 hurricane just 4 weeks ago, yet managed to count votes and submit timely results. Yet, over 41 hours after polls closed, Broward election office is still counting the votes. Broward's supervisor says she doesn't know how many ballots are left to be counted and isn't reporting hourly or regularly, but rather releasing thousands of additional votes, often in the overnight hours, that are chipping away at GOP leads. Broward Elections Department has a history of violating the law. A court found them improperly handing votes by mail. A court found that they had destroyed ballots in 2016 in violation of state and federal law. Now, Democrat lawyers are descending upon Florida. They have been very clear that they aren't here to make sure every vote is counted. They're here to change the results of the election. This is Perkins Coie law firm who hired Fusion GPS to get the PP dossier on President Trump. These are the lawyers descending right now in Broward County. A U.S. Senate seat and statewide cabinet officer are now potentially in the hands of an elections supervisor with a history of incompetence and of blatant violations of state and federal laws. Broward election supervisor's ongoing violation of Florida law requiring timely reporting isn't just annoying incompetence. It has opened the door for lawyers to come in here and try to steal a seat in the U.S. Senate and the Florida cabinet. Now, Donald Trump has tweeted about this. Now, here's a press conference from yesterday from Governor Rick Scott.
Tuesday night, our win was projected to be around 57,000 votes. By Wednesday morning, that lead dropped to 38,000 votes. By Wednesday evening, it was around 30,000 votes. This morning, it was around 21,000. Now is 15,000. On election night, Broward County said there were 634,000 votes cast. As of today, as of 1 a.m. today, there were 695,700.
So Broward County said there were 640,000 votes. Now they're saying it's like thousands more, and then they keep upping. They're literally finding ballots. They told a number that they had, and that those votes were counted. And then they keep adding
ballots
votes.
Cast on election day. At 2:30 p.m. today, the number was up to 707,223 ballots cast on election day. And as we just learned, that the number has increased to 712,840 ballots cast on election day. In Palm Beach County, there are 15,000 new votes found since election night.
Found.
So it has been over 48 hours since the polls closed, and Broward and Palm Beach counties are still finding and counting ballots. And the supervisors, Brenda Snipes and Susan Booker, cannot seem to say how many ballots still exist and where these ballots came from or where they have been.
I'm going to pause that really quick. Guys, let's think about this. When we were watching on election night, and we were here with you on Tuesday, and you're watching these numbers go tick, 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 and you watch them go up down to the T, down to a specific. We had some wins that were like within like 1,000 or 2,000 votes, like even less than that. Very, very, very close. You don't just misplace 15,000 votes. They get counted Okay, this is not like they're all sitting on a stack. Oh, we missed that table over there. They go into, even if you have paper ballots, they get scanned through an electronic machine.
30 minutes after polls close, they're supposed to count the absentee ballots and bring those numbers in. And the numbers are supposed to come in every 40 minutes.
Unbelievable.
The people of Florida deserve fairness and transparency, and the supervisors are failing to give it to us. Every Floridian should be concerned there may be rampant fraud happening in Palm Beach and Broward counties. And the Broward Supervisor of Elections, Brenda Snipes, has a history of acting in absolute bad faith.
She does.
As you will recall, a judge ruled just this last year that the office violated both state and federal laws by illegally destroying ballots in 2016. That same year, office was sued for leaving amendments off of ballots. In 2014, Brenda Snipes' fellow Democrats accused her of individual and systemic breakdowns that made it difficult for voters to cast regular ballots. All Floridians should be concerned about this. Palm Beach County is also refusing to provide information to the public, and they are illegally refusing to allow official party representatives into the ballot counting area and forcing people to stand behind a glass wall.
This is illegal because if you're a candidate, you get to watch ballots being counted. That's the whole point. Like with the standing, the Rip Chads. Yeah, they couldn't. They had people behind them from each campaign looking at every single one. Now there are there's the most vulnerable part of this election system that they have in Florida is that if something happens to the ballot, let's say it gets teared or ripped or something like that, then the election officials are allowed to replicate the ballot so it can go through the scan. Okay? Now, they would not allow anyone from the campaigns to watch them fix those ballots. So that is the easiest form of election fraud available.
Hang on a second. Because
so you're literally manually coloring in.
All right. What I want to lay this out to you guys. In this kind of scenario, in the voting system where you have paper ballots, there are bound to be some that have a rip or a tear or whatever. Okay, a small amount.
Like
we're
maybe
talking
10.
We're talking about 15,000 that they're saying that they found. Let's start there. Okay, so you found them. Do you need to replicate all 15,000? Right. The guy won by 50,000 votes. Are you? This is why it has taken them so long to find these, because they are having to go through 50,000 pieces of paper, rip them, replicate them. This is why it's taking so long.
Bingo.
Now, there is a time limit that is set on this, and that's why the judge ruled, like, listen, I got to throw this out. You have to have all this stuff done by a certain time.
Well, it's not that the votes are all thrown out. It's that, from what I understand, that the police have gotten involved now. It's absolutely crazy.
So corrupt.
With limited visibility and no ability to hear what is going on.
It's illegal.
This is a clear violation of Florida law, and we have just filed a lawsuit. Both Broward and Palm Beach counties have failed in their duty to follow Florida law, which requires that vote by mail and absentee ballots are counted within 30 minutes of polls closing. Further, Palm Beach County has failed to update.
This shouldn't be that hard. They run the same ballots through the machines.
Right.
Ba-boom, 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 ba-boom. You know?
Department states since 10:19 a.m. yesterday. This is in complete violation of Florida law, which requires updated reports every 45 minutes until results are completely reported. We've all seen the incompetent.
It's absolutely insane. They wouldn't allow anybody in. Governor Rick Scott has said, you got to let us in. They literally are barring the doors. Literally like hostage. Literally holding votes hostage.
Here's the deal. Pause that. You, as a state, you are sovereign to a massive extent, because we're a republic, from the federal government. But when you are a state, you can't keep out other state officials. This is not every county is its own independent. You belong to a state. You all belong to Florida. Get over it. On Facebook Live, we have Lisa that says they had to wait until after the election to figure out how many they needed to find.
Vote tabulations in Broward and Palm Beach for years. But here we go again. I will not sit idly by while unethical liberals try to steal this election.
It's what we do every year. If we'd have a close election, we grab these ballots, tear them.
Yep.
And the first thing he did was tell reporters that he's here to win
Mark in
the
who you
election.
want
He's
until you
not
get to where
saying
you
he's
need
here-
to.
Yep.
He's not saying that he wants a full and fair election or even an accurate vote count. Here's some things he has said. In 2010, when his
Okay, so then he goes on to say that the lawyers that have descended down there are very disingenuous because they want every vote counted, but this Perkins Coie lawyer has represented other people who had were 12,000 apart and said, "Oh, recount isn't necessary. It's decided." Blah blah blah. Okay, so that is the press conference from Governor Rick Scott. Now, Marco Rubio, that is the first thing he tweeted out, and then we're just going to kind of go through the other things that he has
Now, one of our UK viewers, Jim West, says, can't somebody independent check them from the government? That's what they were trying to do. They were trying to allow, each party was trying to go in and say, we'd like to have somebody watch over this. That was totally a precedent that's already been set. It happens. And they are barring the doors. They're not letting anybody even in.
Right. Okay, so Marco Rubio tweeted this out next. He said, a U.S. Senate seat and a statewide cabinet officer are now potentially in the hands of an election supervisor with a history of incompetence and of blatant violations of state and federal. This is from behind the curtain of the most controversial elections department in South Florida. Broward County's elections department will receive special attention from state officials this November after a series of glitches, mistakes. Now, this is on November 2nd. November 2nd, before the election, everyone knew you're going to have to watch Broward County.
Yeah.
Okay? After a series of glitches, mistakes, and one case of illegal ballot destruction has some voters wondering if they should even trust the results coming from the elections department telling them to vote with confidence. Following a court ruling in May that Broward elections supervisor Brenda Snipes had illegally destroyed ballots from a 2016 congressional race, the governor's office announced the Florida Department of State would send election experts to Snipes' office during this year's election to ensure that all laws are followed. But obviously, that hasn't worked. Snipes says the problems are blown out of proportion. There's also a progressive who is running against Debbie Wasserman Schultz, who he's been warning of malfeasance and craziness going on, and the father of the Parkland victim, who was the only conservative,
that had a daughter and had a couple of sons, few sons.
He ran for school board, and it just so happened that they found 15,000 votes, and he lost.
How do you find 15,000 votes? Some places only get 15,000 votes. I mean, come on. This is absolutely ridiculous.
Yeah.
Sorry, I'm yelling.
So, Marco Rubio says, very proud of my staff and officers after Hurricane Michael. Let's see. Rewarding part of the job. Is this a fellow? Florida law requires counties to report early voting and vote by mail within 30 minutes after polls close. 43 hours after polls close, 2 Democrat strongholds, Broward and Palm Beach County, are still counting and refusing to disclose how many ballots they have left. Latest ballots dumped by Broward and or Palm Beach flipped the Ag Committee race to Dem and shaved another 4,000 from Scott's lead in the Senate race. Since 3 a.m. Wednesday, slow drip from these 2 Democrat-controlled counties cut Scott lead from 54 to 17,000, and they refuse to disclose the number of ballots they have left. I understand some people wondering that the Say-Fi on some of my tweets means. It's not in Spanish. It's a hashtag for Florida political news aggregator Say-Fi Review.
This reminds me of, I just want to pause just so you guys understand this. When we go to Las Vegas, we see, is it Sheriff Lombardo?
Yeah. Okay.
He was instrumental not only in the Las Vegas shooting, but in what else, Leah?
The standoff with the Bundys.
The standoff with the Bundys. Now we go down to Florida. Mm-hmm. And if it looks like a duck, and it walks like a duck, and it quacks like a duck, it's a duck. They continue to go back to these same places and these same counties where they have the same. The corruption doesn't just stop at the election officials, okay? The people that count the votes. It goes to the sheriff's department. We have seen multiple things that happen down there in this area in Broward County. And so if anything ever happens again involving these people, Okay, you kind of have to go, wait a minute, we're being played here.
Right, so I misspoke. It wasn't 15,000, it was 9,000. What's happening in Broward County happened last August, albeit on a smaller scale. 9,000 votes arrived in mail just before 7 p.m. Election Day. A few days later, incumbent school board member avoids a runoff against the person we were talking about, and a judge won by just 400 votes. Apparently, Broward County elections left behind a big box, provisional ballots, at a local elementary school. This woman found this box. It says provisional ballot box. It has its little zip tie on it, but it was left at the school just randomly, and she found it, I believe, obviously after the election day. A Minamar elementary school teacher, Lakeisha Sori, came across a box labeled provisional ballots left behind at the school from election day, and she's concerned it might be votes.
Amazing, because nobody can go and buy one of those containers, some zip ties, print off a piece of paper, and cut a hole in the top.
Yeah. So it also looks like 205 provisional ballots that were approved by the Broward Elections Office and tabulated maybe should have gone to the canvassing board first so that they could be challenged by the candidates' reps. So provisional ballots are people who do not have the proper documentation, but in order to keep people from going crazy, they let you just fill it out, and then you can see whether you qualify to vote later on. Now get this. This video posted by an independent candidate purports to show Broward County ballots being transported from polling places in private cars. Now watch this.
I knew it's dark when it showed this here. I think like two ladies just walked up there with the provisional ballots, walking back into the precinct, and a bag of the paper ballots. And I said to them, I go, what, you just can carry those around? And they said, no, the truck left them. But the truck's right here, so I'm not real sure what the hell's going on here. I don't think it's right. The ballots are right there, like right in the middle of the screen, in blue bags on the ground. This is the weirdest thing I've ever seen in my life. They seriously put this stuff in people's car? And then let them bring it to the truck? Like, really? Look, this lady is bringing ballots out of her car. Like, bringing ballots out of her car. From, apparently, this building? I don't know. I'm not real sure what's going on here. Unless these are people coming from other precincts. Sir. Officer, are these people coming from other precincts? Is that what's happening? So they let them transport them with one person in the car from other precincts? Apparently so, huh? That doesn't seem right, does it? I know. But you know it doesn't. So apparently Broward County allows people to drive from other precincts by themselves. There's people with just one person in the car here. And they let them just drive over with the ballots.
They're counted. These must be, I bet these went through the machines and these are the ballots. Mm-hmm. But even like transporting them.
Anything could happen in transport. Right?
Let's see. He says, every vote legally cast should be counted. That's the law. I have no problem with recounts. That's the law. But last early votes were cast Sunday and had to be resubmitted by Tuesday evening. That's the law too. Yet 48 hours after the deadline, Broward County is still counting them. He says the incompetence and the violation of Florida reporting requirements by Broward County Election Department can impact more than just the outcome. The last thing our dangerously divided nation needs is an important election. One or two people believed it's rigged for the other two. Recounts in close races are automatic under the Florida law, and I support the Florida recount. What is happening in Broward County isn't about a recount. As Dem lawyer said, we're not doing this just because it's automatic, but because we're doing it to win. Under Florida law, county must upload by 7 p.m. the day before election all early votes canvassed and tabulated by end of early voting and report results within 30 minutes of polls closed. 60 hours after the deadline, only one of 67 counties is still counting the early votes. Early voting in Broward County ended 108 hours ago. Every other county, including neighboring Miami-Dade, which has 100,000 more votes cast, was able to canvass, tabulate, and report to state by the deadline. But Broward still hasn't finished and won't disclose how many ballots it has left. Brenda Snipes at Broward County dodges questions and leaves after repeatedly saying she would take questions after this meeting, reconvening tomorrow at 1 p.m. to have the canvassing board review 238 provisional ballots.
Ms. Snipes, can you talk to us at all? You can't speak to us this evening?
She knows she's caught. She knows she's got her hand caught in the cookie jar. How can anyone have confidence that the Broward County election supervisor will be fair when last night she made clear her personal animus towards Governor Scott and towards the state top law enforcement agency, which she claims he owns? She said, he owns the FDLE, Snipes said. Wouldn't answer more questions on the lawsuit investigation. I'm not prepared to have that conversation right now. Not very comforting to Florida voters that Broward County supervisor, in whose hands may rest the outcome of the Senate and the cabinet race, has in the past illegally destroyed ballots, secretly opened mail ballots, sent voters too many ballot pages, and left constituent ballots off the questions off the ballot. Fair question. No one is asking to stop the vote. Here is the update. Okay. Some partisans continue trying to portray what is happening in Broward County as normal, and criticism as an effort to stop vote counting. This is an effort to deflect attention away from highly irregular conduct. No early votes have been cast since Sunday. They had 2 days to tabulate them and to submit them to state by 7:30 Tuesday, as required by law. Yet, as of the latest update, they're still only partially complete. In addition, they are required by state law to submit results every 45 minutes. The last update from them was over 20 hours ago. Every ballot they receive has to be logged. Why have they consistently refused to disclose how many they have left to canvass and count? If Broward Elections has some legitimate reason for why they have been unable to tabulate and report ballots they have had since Sunday night, from what I'm understanding, what he's saying is that you tabulate them and count them before election night.
Right.
And then you let them know within 30 minutes after the election.
Exactly.
So that we don't know we don't know the results until the election day.
Right.
But you can count them, and you should count them.
Yeah.
Starting on Sunday.
Well, I like what he says next there, like every other county did. Like every other county did.
Right. So this is absolutely insane what's going on. Like Michelle said, it's basically a case of how many votes do we need. We're going to be the last county. We're going to hold out until we know how many we need. We'll count exactly how many that we need, and then we'll stop there, and we'll throw out some that might be for Scott. Another one is that a lot of these had no senator in them, but they had governor.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
These are ballots that they're finding that just have the governor vote on them. Do you know why? Probably because there's no time to fill out the rest of the ballot. We only have time to fill out the governor.
So a new and troubling allegation has emerged, a statement under penalty of perjury that Palm Beach County filled out new ballots to replace damaged ones without allowing campaign representatives to witness the process of creating the new ballots as required by Florida law. Now, the court has just ordered, this was about 3 hours ago, Broward election supervisor to turn over the vote counts. Furthermore, the court found her to be in violation of the state election board.
Is it really worth it? The cheating. These people, they know that they're doing it. It's not just that lady. All of these people have to be in on it.
This is Debbie Wasserman Schultz. This is her election. You know how she has gotten away with rigging everything. Now, I'm going to show you a video.
It's what I'm saying is, I don't think that they're doing it for the change. I don't think that they're doing it to retain power. I really do believe that this is what we would call serial election fraud. It's like when you murder somebody or you rape somebody and you murder again and you rape again because you got away with it and there's a high there and you feel bigger than life and you feel like you have all the power. I think that's what we have going on here. I don't think it's the result of governor.
So the Clintons and Deep State and George Soros have hands. Sometimes those hands believe in it and they want to be part of it and they go for it with gusto.
Right.
This Brenda Snipes is in with Debbie Wasserman Schultz. It's in with the Clintons, and they're willing to lay their lives on the line for these people. Now, get this. Looks like Matt Gaetz just 2 minutes ago said the lawyers for Brenda Snipes will not allow the comply with the court order. That very same order ruled that Snipes violated the court constitution by not allowing access to these important records. I suspect the night will lead into drafting a motion for contempt.
Allow us to inspect records so that we could find out the total number of votes cast and the method of those votes, either early voting, voting by mail, or voting in person. That was supposed to be complied with by 7 o'clock. The reason you see a scrum over my shoulder, the lawyers for Brenda Snipes will not allow our team to come in and comply with the court order. That very same order, Martha, ruled that Brenda Snipes violated the Florida Constitution by not allowing access to these important records. So I suspect that late into the night, we will be drafting a motion for contempt, and we'll try to get a hearing either in the wee hours of the morning or tomorrow to hold Brenda Snipes in contempt. This is obviously a sufficient basis to suspend her from her position and to have the Secretary of State, who is the chief elections officer in Florida, confirmed by a bipartisan majority of the Florida Senate, put this office in a state of receivership, take over, and let's find out what the hell has happened in Broward County.
Well, that is very interesting, and she's had issues and controversies that she's been involved in the past, right?
That's right. In fact, in 2016, there was litigation demonstrating that Brenda Snipes actually destroyed ballots in a Democratic primary. So this is widespread incompetence. But it's one thing to be incompetent when no one's looking. It's quite another thing to have a judge say that you violated the constitutional rights of Floridians and then to subsequently not comply with that court order. This is outrageous. And if the governor is going to do his job, he needs to suspend her immediately. And let's get the chief elections officer of the state here. We still don't know on Friday, after a Tuesday election, how many votes were even cast in Broward County, and the law requires that disclosure.
Yeah, I mean, it's really remarkable. And so far this evening, we've been watching the lawyers go back and forth.
Do-over. Everybody got in Broward County got to vote again.
They did decide that there could be an actual count to figure out how many the total is and where these other votes appear to be coming from. For Bill Nelson, Mark Elias is working with him. He's obviously involved in a lot of Democratic politics.
So yeah, both Gillum and Nelson have rescinded their concession speeches. Let me see. I was
a little bit curious of the size of Palm Beach and Broward County. Just to give you guys an idea of how many people live there. In Broward County, you're looking at roughly 2 million people. Mm-hmm. Palm Beach County is just under 1.5 million people. So there's a significant amount of people. So I wanted you to, when you're asking, this isn't just some small county, okay? It's not like Back County or whatever. So it's not as crazy to find a large amount of votes with a population that large. But I would also be curious to find out how many people in those millions vote. Yeah. And then within that, you know what I mean? Right. And then how many people vote absentee within that?
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Because they're kind of say that they're trying to say that they found these votes from the absentee ballots and whatnot. And I don't think that there's that many votes. It's almost like every absentee ballot wasn't counted.
Okay, so this Britt Hume tweeted this out and said, read this thread. This is Ali Schmitz. She is covering this. In Broward County for emergency hearing in Rick Scott versus Broward, Brenda Snipes. Hearing hasn't started yet. She says she's there. Then she says, judge says Florida Dems can intervene in the public records lawsuit filed by Scott campaign. This allows Dem to have the same records that Scott has requested if the judge grants the records. Snipes' attorneys says she's not trying to prevent the release of information. He says she'll gladly give them the records, but they're trying to rush her in the midst of a busy counting period. Snipes' counsel calls it inappropriate to intervene in the counting process, which is her primary responsibility until noon tomorrow. But then judge finds Broward, SOE, violated Public Records Act and Florida Constitution. SOE must provide public records requested by Scott. Snipes must allow immediate inspection of records plus no spoliation of records requested on or before 7 p.m. Britt Hume says, what were those election officials even thinking? Wow. So this was a really big thing. And then Britt Hume also tweeted this out. He said, Broward County smells. Florida's voting laws are designed to assure maximum transparency throughout the process. Supervisors of election and other election officials are required to provide accurate, timely information to both the public and the candidates, and all candidates to observe all key steps. The lawsuits filed, and we were ruled on today, provide detailed allegations that evidence that the supervisors of elections for Broward and Palm Beach counties are materially violating state law and or the Florida Constitution. The first case is against Broward County supervisor, and we know how it went. Just moments ago, another court held Dr. Snipes processed mail-in ballots illegally and apparently not in accord with state transparency requirements. Yeah, sorry. So Governor Scott current lawsuit alleges that Dr. Snipes violates a state public records law by refusing to reveal the number of ballots cast, counted, and left to be counted. In my experience, having done election day operations work in other jurisdictions, such a blanket, unexplained refusal is bizarre. At a minimum, one of the most important facts an election supervisor must keep track of and knows is the number of ballots her office has. The number may fluctuate, especially as military and overseas ballots arrive, but such changes or fluctuations must be explained. Refusing to divulge the total number of ballots that have been cast creates unnecessary opportunities for problems. What kind of problems? Many progressive commentators oppose voter ID laws on the grounds that in-person voter impersonation at polling places is rare. When election fraud occurs, they contend it is almost always through paper absentee ballots. Just a few days ago, a large locked box labeled provisional ballots was found in the cafeteria of Sunshine Elementary School. Election officials deny it contained cast ballots. Either way, events like this are very troubling. If certain supervisors of elections refuse to be transparent, as required by state law, about the most basic facts concerning the electoral process, like the number of ballots cast or remaining to be counted, events like the Sunshine ballot box are exasperated. And then Florida Governor Scott attorney also alleges Broward County supervisor of elections refused his public records request for copies, and we know how.
I like what Donna
that
Terry
went.
says. She goes, bad boys, bad boys. She goes, Broward County was on cops a lot.
Yes.
Maybe they just have some bad mamma jammas out there.
So this is a scene saying "lock her up," which is about
Brenda
Brenda Snipes.
Snipes gotta go! Brenda Snipes gotta go! Brenda Snipes gotta go! Brenda Snipes gotta go! Brenda Snipes.
So there's a lot of people there. There's a lot of mayhem there, and you want to see this. Get this.
I will be frank with you.
This is Debbie Washburn Schultz. This is the congresswoman who is in Broward County. She's the one with the A1 brothers. Mm-hmm. She's the one who ran the DNC chair. She is Hillary Clinton's right-hand woman who helped her rig the primaries against Bernie Sanders. Now, get this.
To rig the outcome of this primary, trust me, I could have done. There are so many things that we could have done.
If I was going to rig the 2016 outcome of this election, there are so many things we could have done. Now, we want to know, okay, so what are the things that you could have done, that your group could have done, so we can stop it in the future?
Amazing.
But she wants to leave those open just in case.
Okay. Yeah.
In 2016, ballots were illegally destroyed.
Why did you sign a document allowing for the destruction of Mr. Canova's ballots?
When I sign folders filled with information. They were destroyed by mistake.
Destroying the ballots was more than a mistake. It was illegal.
This is the two of them campaigning together.
Amazing.
So this was put out by this guy, Canova, a progressive independent.
Here's the deal, though. She just admitted that when she signs things in folders without reading them, essentially.
So Donald Trump says, you mean they're just now finding roads in Florida and Georgia, but the election was on Tuesday? Let's blame the Russians and demand an immediate apology from President Putin. And then also there's another race in Georgia. Georgia's race, she has not yet conceded. Trump says Kemp ran a great race in Georgia. He won. It is time to move on. I'm going to play you his
Found a box
campaign
of
ad.
provisional ballots in a closet somewhere. A teacher found it. I think the word provisional means it's the provision in case the Republican wins. Then they go in there
No,
and find
that's
the
so
provision,
true.
which is to give a bunch more Democrat votes. Can we find one Democrat in this country who's willing to concede a race? I think Al Gore is still in Florida digging through those votes. Hillary Clinton is really the president. Andrew Gillum now is unconceding. He concedes, now he unconcedes. This is the moral hazard of turning election day into election season. Now we have early voting, I think 3 years out. You can go provisional ballots, mail-in ballots. This is the moral hazard because it creates the opportunity for all of these shenanigans, and we become a laughingstock.
That is absolutely true. Come on, stop with the early voting.
Right.
I understand if you're just absentee ballots should be made for like disabled people
and like people overseas.
Like minimal. We're all right here. Sydney keeps falling.
Pray for Sydney.
Pray for Sydney. She's got bad back legs and is slipping everywhere.
Oh, there's a couple of tramadols on the carpet there, so that could have something to do
Oh
with it.
shoot! Are you
Somebody didn't get their medicine.
Somebody didn't get their medicine. That looks like probably Sydney. All right, so I think
we didn't talk about Arizona really very much at all. I mean, I know Florida is where it's at, but
yeah. So Arizona still has some votes outstanding. They're still coming out with votes. I guess there was earlier today. They still had 350,000 to vote, but they had 99% in, and McSally was winning with a very comfortable lead. Now Sin is up. Yeah, that's still contested, but I think that the Democrats are still finding votes all over the place. I think in some of these House races, it's gone from plus 27 to now plus 40. I think that they're with vote totals that are still coming in, and they're all
Trump
favoring
comes out with his
the
heavy
Democrats.
hand and he's no more Mr. Nice Guy, this explains it. They're all cheating.
Right.
Bunch of cheaters.
So there was also a horrible shooting in California in a nightclub, in a country nightclub. And I need to kind of touch on that because our thoughts and prayers go out to them. It was a crazy ex-military guy who we don't know his motive. He's a white guy. He had gone to that bar over and over again. Wednesday night was young college night, 18 to 21. There were real heroes, though, in this moment where men were lining up, putting their backs to a shooter for women. It was a beautiful moment in the midst of tragedy. 12 people died. One is, I don't know if you guys know Tia and Tamara from one of their niece died there.
No way.
Yeah. And I guess a former Fox reporter, Adam Housley's married to one of them, and it was his niece too. So it's a really horrible thing, but the Democrats have jumped on the bandwagon, said we need to ban guns. All guns are bad. Guns, and this is President Trump's fault. And I was listening to two survivors from this incident who said, if we had concealed carry, then it went on for 6 minutes before the police showed up. Somebody could have taken this guy out, but because we're not allowed to have concealed carry, good guys with guns would have stopped this bad guy with the gun.
Right.
So I wanted to kind of California shooting here and give you an idea. Of course, you're going to see a lot of people saying a Vegas survivor dies in California attack. It's a,
you guys, we have a very large nation.
Mm-hmm.
When you see these kinds of things, I don't believe in coincidence. Okay, I really just don't. If you see a Vegas survivor having died at this shooting, that's not, we're in California. Granted, they're close, but not that close.
I was going to try to, these are some pictures of people just randomly helping people out. They said that there were some really heroic moments. But definitely a gun grab moment here where you have,
well, you guys, right after the midterms, the left doesn't get what they want. They're going to come out with some sort of false flag.
That could be true.
And maybe it's to take away from the recount. You know what I mean? It could be anything.
There was probably 3 or 4. I hit the ground. I look up. The security guard's dead. Or I don't want to say dead, but he was shot. He was down. And the gunman was throwing smoke grenades.
The security guards were not armed, by the way.
All over the place. I saw him point to the back of the cash register.
He took out the security guards. He threw smoke bombs in there to keep as many people
disoriented.
Yeah.
Sure. And he just kept firing. I ran out the front door. I hear chairs being thrown out the window. People were trying to get out the window. And the gunman went behind the cash register. There was probably 12 shots before I got out the front door.
We were dancing and I saw someone walk in, and then after that I saw shots go off, and we just got down. It was such a blur. It just happened.
And just like little, I mean, they were shooting everything from the speakers to anything, so all we really saw was just smoke, and we just saw the shots taking off, so we just tried to get down.
So I wanted to give you guys an update of that, but definitely it's turned into a gun grab, and I think you just need to think about the fact that there are horrible people who are doing horrible things. And again, if I had to go and I had to blame it on anything, I know it's cliche, but what is a mentality that causes something that goes into your head over and over and over again that causes somebody to snap like this? And we know that with radical Islamic terror, it's the teachings that these infidels are bad, they need to die. I would be curious to see how many video games he played in these video games. It's shoot as many as you can, shoot as many as you can, shoot as many as you can, shoot as many as you can. And we talked about this, the simulation, flight simulation. You think that you can fly an airplane because you're in the flight simulator, and in these very, very, very realistic. You've got some of these are horrible cop killing video games. You're just shooting people over and over again. How many people can I shoot? How many people can I shoot? And some of them you were supposed to like kill civilians. It's like really bad. Some of these are like really deranged video games. And we have a video game culture. Probably a young man. We know that the Parkland shooter was a video game addict, right? And would just like, shoot. And he was obsessed with guns, and and I think that, there are, what you're going to have, I believe, an anomaly to where millions of people are going to play video games and they're not going to go shoot people.
Right.
But there's going to be that 1 or 2 or 3 people who are playing these games. They're very realistic. And they're just shooting all these people, and they have power, right? They have control. When do you feel like why are young men so addicted to playing these games? Because they get a high. Yeah. They have power. I took that bad guy down. I took that person down.
Sure.
I had the power to do that. No, it's a video game. It's a simulation. But then when you have that crossover into real life where I was offended by this person, I want power. I feel that power again.
It's exactly
I want to feel control in that
how,
situation again.
Most rapists will tell you
they started
with pornography. Does that mean that everybody that looks at porn and becomes a rapist?
No.
Does that mean that everybody that plays a video game becomes a serial mass shooter?
No.
But there is a common denominator that some people are predisposed to taking the violent actions that they do in simulation into real life.
Yes.
So I want to go with you there 100%. That being said, and I know you're probably not going to want me to do this, but I can't help myself, Leah. I watched those 2 girls, and heaven forbid me if I'm wrong.
Don't do that, because I think that I don't think
I've been through it one too many times.
But Michelle,
with Las Vegas.
I listened today to some people on Alex Jones. Okay, they were there. They were normal. They were pro-gun people.
Fine. No.
I understand that they didn't act right. I know you're going to go there, but please don't do that. I believe that there are real victims to this situation.
Okay, well, we can have good cop, bad cop. And you know what? I'm going to lay this out because here's the deal.
No, because we'll get kicked off of YouTube. Do not do this right now. Okay? It's crazy because I really believe this really happened.
I believe it really happened too.
These are real victims.
No.
And I believe that some people react weird. They're drunk, Michelle. They're not going to react right.
True.
They are faster.
The guy's eyes were glassy. I'm thinking specifically about the girl. Now, I'm not the only person that said something. Scotty, I was watching it and I was trying to be...
and I was too. But
I'm trying to be completely magnanimous about this and completely bipartisan. I'm going into this, but this is our show. It's not just a conspiracy theory if it's the truth. Whenever these things happen, I'm going to, from the get-go, point out something that may or may not be.
The best explanation for that was that they're on national TV, and they're playing up their own emotions.
And I was going to get to that before you yell at me. I was thinking that exact same thing. I was like, listen, I wanted to get to that part. I was watching these girls, and what they went through was a horrific experience. They are drunk, and so they're not exactly having, all their cognitive abilities are not firing that fast. So when you're watching it back, that's why I was going to come at it from both sides. I want you to take into consideration that there is a huge possibility that it's after the fact. They've already cried. They've already been upset.
Yeah.
And they don't have it anymore, but they recognize they're on national TV
So
and they're going to watch it back. And so they have to bring it back.
Right.
So I wanted to bring you guys both sides, but I did want to bring both sides, that there is a possibility that these could be actors. We saw it with the Las Vegas
Well,
shooting.
then they're not very good. Okay, here. These girls aren't actors. Are you ready?
Yeah, we're ready.
Feel real. It feels. It's. I'm in shock. I'm in shock. I'm terrified. I'm horrified at this. But I know I have my good friends with me, and
We're glad every one of us is okay.
yeah, we're just praying for our friends that we haven't heard from. But yeah, it's a traumatizing thing.
What kind of bar was this with that young girl there? Was she there?
And
they can't see her.
You never think it's gonna be you until
this young girl right
until
here.
it happens, and like this is a problem. Like this is real, and it's awful. It's awful.
These girls had another interview where they said that the men jumped in front of them. It was a really pretty heroic act, and I wanted you to see that because if I can find it. But yeah, I didn't mean to. Michelle and I go two different directions on a lot of things, but she hasn't watched a lot of the videos that I've watched, and I didn't want to throw them under the victims.
I didn't want to do that either, but unfortunately, this is our channel and this is what we do, and we have to. This is our job. This is what we do. We look at it and we say, could this possibly be? Because otherwise, you're being taken for a ride.
This is the father of the victim.
You all know that I was here fighting for him all morning long.
That's
and
totally
we did just get the news that he was one of the 11 that were hit and killed last night. His name was Cody Kaufman. My firstborn son. Only him and I know how much I love, how much I miss him. Oh, God, this is so... Oh, son, I love you so much. Oh, Heavenly Father, just please be with him.
And that is why I wanted to make sure that we didn't take it down a wrong.
No. I just wanted to give, and I was going to give both sides. I wanted to.
I have
lay
a daughter
it out. Let's
coming
talk
on the
about it.
29th of this month that he was so excited to have his first sister, and not. Now she'll never. Oh, Cody, I love you, son.
And it's just a horrible tragedy.
Yeah.
They'll just never know.
But at the same time, if this is the left pulling a stunt and they kill innocent people, which is what they do, I want to get to the bottom of that. And I want to make sure that the right people are held responsible. And if it's not just some crazed maniac because he watched too many video games, and it's MK Ultra or whatever wild reaching thing you want to talk about, whatever it is, that's the truth that we are seeking for, so that that father can have justice. You know, whatever it is.
All right, so we're gonna move on. I wanted to see if I could find that the shooting heroes, because that is kind of the
that's awesome. Chris says, praying for the victims, question the narrative. I wish I didn't have to. And I wish we were at a state. We wouldn't have our show if we didn't have to question the narrative. That's why we have Resistance Chicks. Otherwise, we'd be just, living our regular life because these people weren't trying to pull the wool over an entire nation's eyes.
These girls said that, those three girls said that the men would covered them and kept them safe, and
that's awesome.
Took bullets for them.
You can't find it?
No, I can't seem to find it.
Darn it.
I think InfoWars might have had it at one point. But yeah, I just these two survivors were on phone today on InfoWars.
Oh wow.
Yeah. They were the ones who suggested that if there was people there with concealed carry, then
right, people
would have been okay. But yeah, I can't find that one.
I'm like, why am I getting like a heater from behind my legs? That's Jasper.
All right, guys, it's 8 o'clock.
Breathing on my legs.
And I think that's kind of the end of our show today. But Michelle has a mail call.
Mail call.
I want you guys to stay with us, but I do think that it's at 2 hours.
At 2 hour stream, we got to cut it. So what we're going to do is we're going to sign off here, and I will gather everything that you guys have sent, and we will start just a strictly
And I really
mail call
hate to
stream.
go from this to that, but that's what we do here.
And today's news, it's not. Again, we don't have resistance chicks because we can come and bring you puppy dogs and, you know, unicorns. Like, it's not, that's not life right now. We had a YouTube channel where we would just bring you guys our farming and our canning and, you know, some sermons and things like that. But it got to the point where that wasn't enough. It's not enough. We have to bring you guys the truth. We have to bring you what's going on. And I'm hoping that in this rare moment where you get to see Leah and I disagree, which it actually doesn't happen that often on topics like this.
We weren't even really disagreeing. I just didn't want to go down a conspiracy realm with the victims.
Well, disagreeing, whatever. I'm hoping that like, we aren't fake people.
All right.
We don't have a script.
Agenda
we don't have an agenda. We don't have anything like that. We are literally bringing you ourselves, our hearts,
our real opinions on things.
You know, because I see a lot of these people, and God bless Crowder. I love Crowder's show. Okay, when I have the time to watch it, which I don't have time to watch much, but I do see these people as they polish themselves become less genuine and a little bit less true to themselves, and you're not going to ever get that here.
Well,
on
even
Resistance
Ben
Chicks.
Shapiro tweeted out that he watched the Acosta video and that Acosta didn't do anything to the girl.
Karate chop, he did.
Karate chop Jim.
Karate chop Jim
Karate
accosted. He accosted her. Acosta did.
Karate
accosted
chop
her.
Jim is what I call him.
All right, so we're going to be back. Did I say milk call? I said mail call.
Mail call.
Mail call. We're going to do a mail call. So come back 5 minutes. Right?
Two, three.
We're literally coming right back. We're just
here.
going to finish this so that it is its own video of crazy news that we had to bring you just from Tuesday. We're up late. How late were we up with you guys? 12:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, and then because we got no sleep that night. Next day we poured concrete. Next day we did turkey butchering. Today we're here with you.
Yeah.
So anyway, like, comment, and subscribe to Mass Faith 3 and Resistance Chicks. Ring that bell for notifications. Find us on Facebook. Follow us on Twitter. We love you. God loves you. God bless. And it's not just a conspiracy theory if it's the truth. All right. We'll see you back shortly.